DePIN, everything you need to understand. Decentralized physical infrastructure networks, or DePIN, are quickly becoming one of the most explosive and misunderstood sectors in the entire crypto space. If you've been hearing this term more and more in 2025, you're not imagining it. DePIN isn't just a trend, it's a paradigm shift. One that merges the digital and physical worlds using the power of Web3, real-world assets, crypto incentives, and edge technologies like IoT, AI, and data markets. It's the blockchain's answer to rebuilding the world's infrastructure, without relying on governments or big corporations. Before we begin, an important message: crypto assets are high risk and not regulated in the UK. You could lose all the money you invest. There is no consumer protection. This content is not financial advice. Always do your own research. So, what exactly is DePIN? In short, it's the idea that we can create and manage physical infrastructure, like wireless networks, transportation systems, cloud computing, sensor grids, and mapping platforms, through decentralized networks, incentivized by crypto tokens. Instead of central authorities building and owning these networks, DePINs distribute ownership and operational responsibility to global communities. The infrastructure is crowd-owned, community-powered, and rewarded in tokens that represent both economic value and governance rights. This might sound futuristic, but it's already happening. Helium has created a decentralized wireless network used by IoT devices across hundreds of cities. Render Network decentralizes GPU rendering power for high-performance computing. Hivemapper is building a decentralized version of Google Maps with dashcam-equipped drivers earning tokens for mapping new roads. DIMO lets drivers earn by sharing car data. Akash decentralizes cloud computing. The list goes on, and the momentum is building fast. What sets DePIN apart from other crypto narratives is its direct interaction with the real world. This isn't just about on-chain yield farming or speculative NFTs. This is crypto-powered infrastructure you can touch, see, and use. A delivery drone network that runs on smart contracts. A distributed energy grid that pays you to supply solar. A data-sharing network that rewards you for your weather sensor. DePIN projects are turning crypto into something tangible, and in doing so, they're expanding blockchain's relevance beyond digital finance into everyday life. The idea of crowdsourcing infrastructure is not entirely new. In the Web 2 world, we've seen models like Uber and Airbnb revolutionize transportation and hospitality by leveraging idle capacity. But these platforms are centralized, the value flows to shareholders, not contributors. DePIN flips this model. It allows anyone to contribute resources, whether that's bandwidth, compute, data, or physical space, and earn fair compensation in return, directly and transparently. No intermediaries. No gatekeepers. Just permissionless participation at scale. What makes DePIN uniquely powerful is how it aligns incentives. Traditional infrastructure development is slow, capital-intensive, and often politically bottlenecked. But with token-based rewards, DePINs can bootstrap supply by incentivizing early adopters to provide real-world coverage and capacity. Want to launch a global Wi-Fi network? Offer tokens to those who set up routers. Want to build a decentralized weather network? Pay farmers, citizens, or hobbyists to host sensors. It's a market-driven approach to infrastructure rollout, and it works. These networks grow organically. Helium started by rewarding users for deploying low-power hotspots. Within months, thousands of hotspots were online. DIMO leveraged token incentives to create a connected vehicle network, with drivers uploading real-time car data. Hivemapper's tokenized model has allowed it to build a global map without paying salaried mappers. The more contributors a DePIN attracts, the more valuable the network becomes, and the more valuable the token, creating a powerful flywheel of adoption, coverage, and usage. DePINs also introduce a new layer of composability into the physical world. Data from a decentralized mapping network can be fed into a decentralized AI agent that powers autonomous drones. Energy from a solar-powered microgrid can be tokenized and traded on a blockchain. Compute from a decentralized GPU protocol can train AI models for smart cities. These infrastructure layers can stack, not just physically, but economically and digitally, creating an ecosystem of interoperable services governed by code and communities. But it's not just the tech that's interesting, it's the philosophy. DePIN challenges the idea that infrastructure must be controlled by corporations or the state. It opens the door to sovereign digital infrastructure, owned by the users, governed by token holders, and operated through open protocols. In many ways, it's a return to the commons, but upgraded with blockchain-based coordination tools and economic incentives. It's infrastructure for the people, by the people, powered by tokens. This philosophy of decentralized infrastructure comes at a time when trust in centralized systems is eroding. Whether it's concerns over surveillance capitalism, single points of failure, censorship, or geopolitical fragmentation, the world is waking up to the dangers of over-centralization. DePIN offers a way to rebuild trustless systems that scale without compromising privacy, openness, or resilience. It's not about replacing governments or corporations entirely, it's about giving people alternatives that are community-owned and cryptographically secure. Take decentralized wireless as a case in point. Traditional telcos are expensive to deploy, slow to upgrade, and often monopolistic. But DePIN projects like Helium are proving that you can build global coverage through grassroots participation. People install hotspots in their homes or businesses, provide wireless access, and earn tokens for their contribution. The result is a network that is not only cheaper to scale, but also more diverse, resilient, and inclusive, particularly in underserved regions. Or consider decentralized compute. Cloud services like AWS and Google Cloud dominate today's internet backbone, but they're vulnerable to outages, pricing power, and vendor lock-in. Projects like Render, Akash, and IO.net allow anyone with spare GPU, CPU, or storage to offer their resources to a global network. Whether it's training AI models, hosting websites, or processing 3D renders, DePINs unlock distributed capacity that would otherwise go unused, and reward contributors fairly. One of the most fascinating aspects of DePIN is how it changes the role of the user. In Web 2, users are products. In DePIN, users become owners, operators, and stakeholders. You don't just use the network, you help build it. Your data, your devices, your resources become part of the infrastructure itself. And in return, you earn tokens that represent your share in a network's growth and governance. This shift from consumer to co-creator is a profound realignment of incentives. And this new ownership model is backed by real economics. Most DePINs are structured with dual token or single token economies that reward both contribution and usage. The more people use the network, whether to access wireless, buy compute, or access data, the more value accrues to those who helped build it. Tokenomics are designed to be self-sustaining, often with mechanisms like burn and mint equilibrium, staking rewards, and fee redistribution. It's a complex dance of supply and demand, but when done right, it can create incredibly powerful incentive systems. Token incentives are only one part of the equation. For DePINs to succeed at scale, they must also address challenges like data integrity, network quality, and game theory vulnerabilities. For example, how do you ensure that a mapping contributor is uploading real GPS data and not spoofing it? How do you prevent a decentralized energy node from over-reporting its output? These are tough problems, but DePINs are tackling them with a combination of cryptographic proofs, hardware validation, AI detection models, and community curation systems that penalize bad actors and reward honest participation. Reputation systems, stake-slashing mechanisms, and real-world attestations are being built directly into DePIN protocols. In many cases, contributors are required to lock tokens as collateral, and can be penalized for cheating. Others use encrypted hardware modules, like secure elements and oracles, to validate physical world actions. The end goal is to create networks that are not just decentralized, but trustworthy, and that means aligning economic incentives with real-world accuracy and integrity. Governance also plays a critical role in DePIN ecosystems. Because these networks affect public infrastructure, like energy, compute, and communication, it's vital that the people who build and use them have a voice in how they evolve. DePINs often use token-based governance models where holders can vote on protocol upgrades, emissions schedules, reward curves, and partnerships. Some are moving toward quadratic voting or reputation-weighted systems to prevent whales from dominating. The future of infrastructure is not just decentralized, it's democratic. The DePIN design space is vast. Some projects focus on data, like whether XM or Hivemapper, others on hardware, like DIMO or Helium, and others on digital infrastructure, like Akash or Filecoin. Many are composable, meaning they can plug into other protocols. A sensor network might feed data into an AI DAO. A compute network might power the backend of a decentralized app. The value is not just in the individual network, but in the mesh of interoperable services they enable. And let's talk about real-world adoption. As of 2025, DePINs are moving beyond crypto-native communities and into mainstream use. Smart cities are partnering with sensor DePINs to monitor air quality and traffic flow. Farmers are adopting DePIN-based weather stations for better crop forecasting. Autonomous vehicles are using decentralized maps to navigate more accurately. Telecom companies are exploring hybrid models that integrate with Helium-like infrastructure. DePINs are not just experiments anymore, they're being woven into the fabric of modern infrastructure. One of the clearest signs of DePIN's traction is the influx of capital and talent into the space. Venture funds, including major names from both traditional tech and crypto-native circles, are aggressively backing DePIN startups. Major exchanges are listing DePIN-related tokens with increasing regularity, and ecosystem-specific accelerators are forming to support infrastructure-focused founders. Simultaneously, experienced engineers from Tesla, Google, and SpaceX are moving into Web3 infrastructure projects, drawn by the challenge of decentralizing real-world systems. From a regulatory standpoint, DePIN presents both opportunities and complexities. On one hand, DePINs offer transparent, tamper-resistant alternatives to centralized infrastructure, something regulators might welcome in areas like data transparency, privacy, and competition. On the other hand, because these networks often blur the lines between public utilities, private enterprise, and tokenized finance, there's a need for new frameworks. How do you regulate a global energy grid with no single operator? Who is liable when a decentralized map contains bad data? These are new frontiers of governance. The most exciting frontier within DePIN may be its intersection with other narratives like AI, RWA, and ZK, zero-knowledge, technology. For example, AI agents can operate DePIN hardware autonomously, imagine drones or sensors that earn tokens, maintain themselves, and learn over time. Real-world assets like cars, batteries, and routers can be tokenized and collateralized within DePIN networks. ZK proofs allow users to prove contributions or data validity without exposing private details. The convergence of these technologies could redefine how infrastructure is built, owned, and monetized. There's also growing talk of DePIN as a service, plug-and-play platforms that allow anyone to launch their own decentralized network. Instead of spending years developing your own blockchain and hardware model, you could use a DePIN SDK to bootstrap a decentralized delivery network, sensor grid, or GPU marketplace in weeks. This modularization is a sign that the space is maturing. The early infrastructure is being laid down, and now it's about scaling access to builders, developers, and communities everywhere. One thing is becoming clear: DePIN will not remain a niche for long. As AI, edge computing, IoT, and decentralization converge, the need for real-world crypto infrastructure becomes undeniable. DePINs offer a way to align technology with user ownership, global coordination, and local resilience. They turn the world itself, roads, devices, sensors, machines, into part of the blockchain economy. And they do so with fewer middlemen, better incentives, and deeper community involvement than traditional models ever could. As the digital and physical worlds continue to merge, DePIN stands out as one of the most compelling crypto narratives of our time. It represents a radical reimagining of how infrastructure is built, how networks grow, and who gets to participate in the value they create. DePIN doesn't just talk about decentralization, it implements it in the real world, one router, one sensor, one GPU at a time. The potential is enormous. We're talking about rebuilding trillion-dollar industries, telecommunications, energy, transportation, compute, with models that are more efficient, more inclusive, and more secure. We're moving from top-down planning to bottom-up coordination. From infrastructure controlled by the few to infrastructure powered by the many. From centralized dependence to decentralized resilience. If you're an investor, developer, builder, or simply a curious learner, understanding DePIN now is like understanding Bitcoin in 2011 or Ethereum in 2016. It's early, but the foundations are already being poured. The tokens, the protocols, the governance models, the real-world devices, they're here. And they're growing. In a few years, you might connect to Wi-Fi, stream AI workloads, charge your EV, or upload weather data, all through decentralized networks that pay you, protect your data, and can't be turned off. That's the world DePIN is building. And it's not a distant future. It's happening right now. Subscribe to CryptoPulse for deep dives, tutorials, and objective insights into crypto's biggest trends.